Join us today for an action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, where we're talking about players looking to rebound from injuries in 2024.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB, joined as always by my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you guys are listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel and also gives you guys a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, first of all, I hope you guys, Happy New Year. I hope you guys, won all of your fantasy football leagues. And if you're slowly tuning back in, to fantasy baseball, guess what? Join us on Subtext. Matt and I already have our rankings out on the Subtext platforms. Every time we drop a new article or we drop our rankings update, bounce backs, bars, sleepers, breakouts, notification right to your cell phone through a text message. You guys don't want to miss it. This is the time of year where you got to be locked on and get your little edge, and join us on Subtext, and you will certainly get that. But with that being said, real quick, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And all right, Matt, we're talking about guys that, some of them missed the whole year. Some of them were injury riddled. Some of them had, one or two big injuries that kept them out for a big portion of the year. And what are we doing with these guys? How do we feel about them? And Matt, who are we talking about first today?
All right. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I figured I'd throw that out there as well. We're going to be talking about Mike Trout. Mike Trout, probably one of the most disappointing players, last year, just based off of what you paid for him and just the injury he suffered where he was only able to get 300 at bats. Anybody who paid for that first round price last year pretty much hurt and probably put a real damper on their season and possibly lost them the championship last year because he just wasn't available for the whole second half of the season. But in that short time that he was playing, he actually was pretty dominant. 308 at bats, 54 runs, 14 doubles, a triple, 18 bombs, 44 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and a batting average of 263. I mean, those are elite numbers. You really look at it and it's like, man, if, he just would have got hurt the whole first half and played the second half, you probably would have been in a lot better shape with those numbers going for the second half of the season. So it's just really just a matter of when he gets hurt, not a matter of if, and there's still that possibility he still pulls it out together and plays a full season. Like Mike Trout is still an incredible baseball player and probably one of the best bats in baseball when healthy. So I look at Mike Trout like this, I have him ranked at number 12 right now for outfield. And, that's like, for me, that's probably the middle or end of the second round, which is we haven't been able to do that since his sophomore year playing baseball, which was like a decade ago. So Mike Trout is definitely still worth that pick, especially your outfield 2. In some cases, your outfield 1 with, my ranking of 12, where I feel comfortable walking away with him because the upside is still limitless. And I'm still going to bank on the fact that he's just Mike Trout and just pray he doesn't go out for longer than a month. And I get at least 450 at bats. And I could totally see a way where he still, repays the draft price essentially. But we'll see as ADP, pursues and as spring training comes on, we'll see what happens. And there's another world of possibilities if Mike Trout gets moved, what could then affect his rankings as well, which I think there might be a possibility of that.
Yeah, man, you kind of touched on, you're talking about, ADP, where ADP's at now, and I actually have that pulled up. This is, as you said, we have not been able to get Mike Trout this late in since 10 years plus, since, going into Trout's, second year. So 17th outfielder right now for Mike Trout, coming off the board at pick 70. You're talking about fifth, sixth round there with Mike Trout. The upside is still legitimate. If you look at the, the underlying stuff, he still hits the ball super hard. All the stuff you want to see, you see it there with Trout. Even sprint speed, he's still fast as ever. So, I know he doesn't really steal bases anymore, but, if at any point he ever decided, hey, he wants to, he could, top percentile sprint speed for Mike Trout. I think the batting average gets back up to where it needs to be, closer to 300. Obviously, 40 bomb potential there with Mike Trout. The runs and the RBIs might not be as elite, especially with Ohtani leaving. That lineup looks a little bit lackluster. But you know what? I like Mike Trout as an outfielder too. If you can get him in, round 6, even maybe round 7, it looks like, in some leagues, I'll take him there. And I'll be happy with it. Just obviously, you're going to want to supplement your speed somewhere else and just be planning to be very active on the waiver wire, making sure you're, having injury replacements ready for when a guy like Mike Trout goes down. But with that being said, let's move on to our next player here. I feel like we've talked about him a couple of times already, but you know what? I don't think the word is officially out there on how good this guy, is. O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz. What was it again, Matt? I know you know the injury. You've talked about it so much. What was it again, Matt? His ankle, right?
Yeah, he fractures ankle sliding home.
Yeah, he fractured his ankle there. So right now, O'Neal Cruz is going as the 12th shortstop off the board, pick 82. And Elly De La Cruz is going off the board at the 4th shortstop, pick 22 pretty much. Guys, they're pretty much the same player. I know the Reds are going to be, better, and that's a better lineup, a better park to hit in. But I don't think it's, a disparity of the disparity should be that much between the two of them. I think very similar players. They both hit the ball really hard. They're both big, giant athletes. So, I have O'Neal Cruz currently as my 10th shortstop. So, I think there is room to profit off of him there. With the injury is a fluke injury. I think he's going to be very, very healthy this year. It's going to be a breakout season for him. If my computer ever wants to work with me, Matt, do you have his stats pulled up by any chance, O'Neal Cruz, from, not the year prior? Oh, I have it. Finally wanted to work with me. So he did get a taste of the majors in 2022, 87 games, 331 at-bats, 45 runs. He had 13 doubles, 4 triples, 17 homers, 54 RBIs, 10 steals, and he hit 233. But was that last month that September was dominant for O'Neal Cruz. Hit a bunch of home runs, stole some bases, hit like 300. It looked very, very good. And then his minor league track record is just dominant as well. Hit for batting average almost everywhere, showed power, showed speed. And once again, in case anybody forgot, O'Neal Cruz is 6'7", 215. I think this is going to be the year where we really see what O'Neal Cruz is made of. And once again, the kid is only 25 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. He's probably one of my favorite picks for this year, especially at the value price. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun owning him. Let's just hope the man learns how to, slide, and we won't have problems, because if you're with us last offseason, I said draft him everywhere. I came in hot and heavy. I had him in every draft under the sun. He could have been a difference maker for my teams, but unfortunately he just, decided, let me just not know how to slide in baseball, which is like saying I don't know how to hit the ball in baseball. So
that reminds me of the year that like Trey Turner broke his finger bunting, and I was just like, he missed like the whole year, and I was just like, killed me.
There's just certain things, but I mean, hey, accidents happen, I guess, But anyway, O'Neal Cruz 2024 outlook is going to be absolutely incredible. I don't need to go through everything Dom did. So, without further ado, before we talk about everybody else that we have listed here, we have a great sponsor for you. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place any $5 bet. That's $150, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays, find bets in new Explore tab, make a parlay in Parlay Hub. The best way to find popular parlays and more. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet a touchdown. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Locked On has lost its first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering top stories of the day with local experts on Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Plus, every day as a new listeners, we have an incredible opportunity for you to support the show and enjoy some fantastic perks along the way. Introducing the Diamond Club on Subtext. Become a member, and you not only contribute to the show's success, but gain access to exclusive benefits. Get your hands on our redraft rankings, our dynasty rankings, buff lists, sleeper lists, and so much more. We're going to be dropping our updated rankings from the last go around in the last year. This year, we're going to be dropping it on Friday. I'm adding tiers to my rankings, which will also help you break down, where the tier ends, when you should start looking, and, maybe I should draft this guy because I'm about to get the end of the tier, et cetera, et cetera. So, you want to get in on the action. It's a small, minuscule fee, and plus you'll be able to ask us a whole bunch of questions. So check us out on Subtext. The link is in the below of all their show descriptions. But all right, I'm sure you're all tired of hearing my voice, but I got to get the haterade out for this one, and that's Jazz Chisholm. Sorry. I love Jazz, but if only he was playing second base. He only managed to log in about 12 games. So, he only was able to play 97 games in total last year, but I think he's going to be exclusively in the outfield. He's not going to have the eligibility going into 2024. And if he does gain it, it's going to be towards the back end of the season. So Jazz Chisholm for me just has no value at that point, even though I have him ranked as my 28th outfielder. I'd much rather move on to somebody else that, has possibilities of doing so. Now, hold on, let me take a gulp here.
The haterade, there it is.
Yeah. On top of that, though, too, he was dealing with turf toe last year, was in a walking boot, opted instead of getting the surgery, which just would have had him out for another 4 weeks, decided to wait the 4 weeks, come back, play on it, ended up still getting hurt, not making it out to the end of the season, and then now had to get surgery anyway, not able to run for 12 weeks, and then is just going to show up next year. The dude might as well be Jazz Chisholm Glass. It's just, my guy is just so fragile that it's just not worth the draft pick, in my opinion. To be honest, I have him ranked there out of just, what the possibilities are, what he could possibly do if he does stay healthy. But honestly, he's going to be my bust this year. So Jazz Chisholm for me is just not worth it.
Yeah, Matt, I'm in a similar place as you. You said you got him at 28, and that's so interesting because right now you're going to be shocked at the ADP. The ADP is the 16th outfielder off the board for Jazz, pick 68. It's a reach for my blood even. I have him at outfielder number 20, and I'm not really – unless my team's been super, super safe up until that point, I'm not taking Jazz. The pace last year was honestly crazy with 19 homers and 22 steals through 97 games. And the batting average didn't even kill you at 250. That's decent. If Jazz could hit 250, I'm okay with that.
Also 22 stolen bases.
Yeah. So I say 19 homers, 22 steals in 97 games. That's an amazing pace. That's like a 30, almost 50 pace there from Jazz. And honestly, I think there will be, because let's not forget, Jazz is only going to be 26 this year. I guarantee there's going to be a season where Jazz goes 30-30, hits 250, and has like 100 runs and 80 RBIs. Will it be this year? Who knows? Am I paying the price for 16th outfielder for Jazz? Definitely not. If he slips a little bit and I can get him late outfielder number 2, maybe, like an early, high-end outfielder number 3, I probably would buy in at that kind of value. It remains to be seen if that's going to happen. Early ADP is indicating that that's not going to happen. So I think Matt, as much as I know Matt deep down loves Jazz, as much as he wants to sip the haterade over there, I know Matt still has a little sweet spot for Jazz, as do I. But, the injuries have piled up over the years. And then he even had an oblique last year, too. It wasn't even just the toe. There was an oblique issue last year for Jazz. And then just his whole career, he's been kind of banged up. So, Matt, chime in, brother.
So we'll play a little name game, right? So
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to rattle off guys I have round 16.
Yeah.
And just let me know who you want to pick over him. If you're going to pick him or over Michael Harris.
I have Harris. So I have Harris over Jazz.
All right. Nolan Jones.
I have him over Jazz.
Lane Thomas.
I have Jazz over Lane Thomas.
Okay. Let's see here. Seiya Suzuki.
I have Jazz over Seiya.
Evan Carter.
Oof. I have Evan Carter over Jazz. That's my guy. Evan Carter's my guy.
All right. And here's the toughest one for me. Christian Yelich.
I have Jazz over him, but I'll tell you this. Honestly, I think Yelich has gotten underrated at this point in his career. When he really, first went to Milwaukee and started showing us. I know we're not really talking about Yelich. We haven't talked about it a lot. I just do want to say a quick 2 cents about Yelich. The hate's gone a little bit too far. A guy was, MVP and then, had back issues and stuff and really didn't ever, get back to where he was. But still somebody that is sneaky good this year. So don't be afraid to take Yelich. But if push came to shove, I think I want Jazz's upside. Let's keep things pushing, though. Let's move on to our next guy. And I didn't want to put this guy up too high in today's, talk because, Matt and I love him when we talk about him all the time. It's Vinnie Pasquantino. We are officially calling him the Pasquatch. These days, if you Matt, I don't think Matt is. But if you are just tuning back in or you haven't heard, Vinnie Pasquantino's mom doesn't like the nickname the Italian Breakfast, which we here at Locked On Fantasy Baseball have been calling him. We love that nickname. It's one of the best nicknames in all of baseball. It's officially being retired. We're now going with the Pasquatch. I'll call him Pasquatch. I don't know if Matt will when Matt wants to chime back in. He's shaking his head. If you're not watching on YouTube, Matt is shaking his head no. So I think we indication Matt will not call him the Pasquatch. But Vinnie P, unfortunately last year he tore his labrum, got surgery on it. I saw reports that he is out there swinging, getting back, and he should be ready for spring training. Last year was limited to 61 games due to that injury, 231 at-bats, 24 runs, 17 doubles, 9 homers, 26 RBIs, 25 walks to 31 strikeouts, and a 247 batting average. Mixed bag for Vinnie P last year. On some notes, he looked better. On other notes, he looked worse. The plate discipline, points leagues, guys. Vinnie P is somebody that we're getting great value on right now. You're going to want to capitalize on that. I have Pasquantino as my 12th first baseman, early ADP. I know has him a lot lower than that. I think it's going to move up as we see Vinnie P in spring training, swinging the bat, hitting homers. Right now, 17th first baseman, pick 173, guys. If you're getting Vinnie P as your second utility or a bench player, you're going to walk away super happy because this kid was on the verge of, breaking out. Still only going to be 26, has light tower power. Vinnie P has 35 plus home run upside with good run RBI and batting average, opportunity. This is a guy who can hit 300. I'm not even exaggerating. 300 is in the table for Vinnie P. So if we're getting him that late, honestly, is a must draft. I will probably have him on all of my teams this year, except maybe leagues that I'm in with Matt.
Yeah, because he's my 8th first baseman, I might add.
Woo!
Yeah, it's hot and heavy, man. I can't give up on him, nor can I give up on the aforementioned nickname that I am not allowed to say because I respect Italian moms too much. They scare me. I just foresee a wooden spoon being thrown at my head, but just like my mother did.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, every time. But it is what it is. Pasquantino is just an electric talent, and I really, really think we're going to see something special from him. Before we move on and, we give you the rest of these names, we're going to try and speed through them. We got one last sponsor for you. All right, and we're back here. So we got Mr. Logan O'Hoppe, hopping away like little Mr. Tail Feather. Terrible nickname. I don't know where I was going with that. But
I
yeah.
thought you were gonna do like an Easter rabbit type of thing with
Kind
Easter
of.
around the corner.
Kind of, but I'm kind of thinking he's a little bit more friskier than that, like more
Okay.
like a Roger Rabbit type deal.
Okay.
I could see him, putting his arm around Lola. But anyway, let's go here. So, anybody who doesn't know who Logan O'Hoppe is, you really should be aware of what this kid is capable of. Got traded over from the Phillies back in 2022. And honestly, what he was doing in the minors that year is just pretty stellar, especially out of the catcher's position. 360 at bats in that minor league season, 72 runs, 14 doubles, a triple, 26 bombs, 78 ribs. Here's the best part about him: 70 walks to 74 strikeouts, batting .283 with an OPS of 961. Now, in 2023, when he was doing his rehab assignments too, because he had a torn labrum and had to get surgery on it, was able to make the return in those 8 games and 24 at bats. Dude was tearing it up, like 7 runs, 3 doubles, 4 ribs, batting .375. Unfortunately, he came up to the bigs. He didn't get it right away, but you could see it in him. Like, he passed my eye test. I was very excited to see him come back. Logan O'Hoppe this year can have a monster season. The only thing that I could see that could damper his true breakout is because of the loss of Ohtani. In my opinion, probably the loss of Trout, whether it's, for, a month or two, or, maybe he gets moves on and they trade him. Like there's other things and factors that are on that team as to why his stats may not be super elite, but I still think he'll be on the top end of the catchers just based off of the fact that his true talent that could thrust him through. Currently, right now, I have O'Hoppe as my 10th catcher, I believe, my 9th catcher. And it might be a little frisky, but honestly, like, I see a lot of upside for this kid. And, I start looking at like who's around that and whatnot. And, I see a better path just on pure talent than him, or like, I don't know, Tyler Stevenson, Francisco Alvarez, guys like that where are kind of questionable and didn't really do what I really thought they were going to do. Whereas O'Hoppe, I believe, can do it and will do it. So that's just really where I'm at, especially with late catcher draft mindset like me.
Yeah, man, I'm in on Logan O'Hoppe too, and he's somebody that we've talked about on this podcast a bunch. And another guy, very, very big power upside, right? Logan O'Hoppe hits the ball, up there hard with like some of the biggest hard hitters in the league. Hit 14 home runs in 51 games last year. Honestly, 30 home run upside is not out of the question for a guy like O'Hoppe, and the runs and RBIs on that Angels team remains to be seen where he's going to hit. Not a lot of speed there from O'Hoppe. Stealing bases isn't really something that's in his arsenal. Batting average, kind of a mixed bag. We've seen him hit for decent batting average in the minors. Matt talked about that one season where he really took a step in the right direction with the plate discipline. Plate discipline was really bad last year, actually. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he, 250, 260, next year for O'Hoppe, in that kind of range. So you're talking about 30 home runs with a 250 guy, maybe gets to 75, 80 RBIs, like 60 runs. And that's not bad. That's definitely helping you out. The profile of a Logan O'Hoppe is reminds me of like a Mitch Garver with maybe a little bit of less batting average. But I have O'Hoppe as my 12th catcher, so I'm right there with Matt. And then even ADP is right around there. ADP has Logan O'Hoppe as the 13th catcher, pick 166. I think that's a fair price. I don't know if O'Hoppe's somebody that I'm targeting, but if I wait on catcher a lot. So, if I'm in a 12-man, 15-man league where, he falls, I take my catcher like as one of the last guys, I'm not going to be mad at starting the year with O'Hoppe. But let's move on here. Matt, did you talk about O'Hoppe? I'm losing my mind over here a little bit. Didn't want to.
It's your turn.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about getting some starting pitchers. Let's talk about Tristan McKenzie. Tristan McKenzie, somebody that I've absolutely loved over the years. I remember the year he got called up, honestly, was a league winner for myself and a lot of other people. And things have been up and down for McKenzie since then, because the year after 2021, basically his first full season was a mixed bag where the ERA was really bad, but the whip still looked pretty good. You saw the flashes. McKenzie put it together in 2022 for 30 starts with a 2.96 ERA, a K per 9 at 191 innings, and an 0.95 whip. And then, last year, McKenzie looked, pretty bad before he went down. But, he's back, another guy that looks like they're going to be ready for spring training. I currently have Tristan McKenzie, I think, in a pretty good spot where I have him as my 34th starting pitcher, kind of looking at him as like an SP3. I think it is a little bit risky. I do want to see where early ADP has him, though. I believe it's going to be lower than that. Because then you're talking about if you can get him as like your SP4, which is where I think he's going in that range, that's where I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. But honestly, the upside on McKenzie is we saw it. We've seen it before. It's somebody, he's shown what it is, and it's a sub-3 ERA with a K per 9 and elite control. And it's funny because I know everybody's, George Kirby is the darling of this offseason. Honestly, McKenzie could be right there with a guy like Kirby when it comes to, control and just being able to suppress walks and hits in general and, suppress runs. And a guy that's only going to be 26 years old. I absolutely love McKenzie, and I was struggling to pull up the ADP. Actually, I did find it. So pick 240. Pick 240 for McKenzie. So you're getting him as, what is that, like your SP 6, 7, 8 at that point? All day. I'll have McKenzie on, once again, probably every team I do that, Matt's not in the league with me, if I can get him at post 200.
Yeah. Did you say where you have him ranked?
I believe I did. I have him as my SP 34.
Yeah, so I'm right behind you at 35. So,
yeah.
McKenzie's just one of those guys that could be like a real world beater for the league. So, I mean, I doubt he's going to be that cheap once everybody starts returning to baseball. People just tend to have a bad taste in their mouth because of what it did last year with all the injuries. But when he did come back both those times, he was super elite. So it wasn't like, okay, it was like, oh my God, he looked terrible. No, he like picked up right where he left off. So, it's just disappointing. But, he has the only difference between him and Jazz Chisholm, in my opinion, is he's not changing position. So I'm totally okay with drafting Tristan McKenzie because that upside is absolutely unreal.
And real quick, Matt, before we move on from McKenzie, I do just want to point out it was an arm issue for him last year. So that might be some of the pushback that we're getting from, drafters at the moment with the early ADP being post 200. Once you see this guy healthy out on the mound and looking, good, I think we're going to be all right with McKenzie.
Yeah, my man's just a tad bit fragile. So,
he's got to put a little more weight on.
Exactly, like at least 20 pounds. But anyway, let me sneak this last guy in. Shane Baz. Actually, when we had Frank Stanfield on the show, this was one of his dudes. One of ours as well. We love Baz. Baz has the upside to just be a world beater. Got TJ back in 2022. Was starting his work his way back. This past September, but unfortunately just couldn't make it out on the mound there. But I think he's going to come back and be strong. In 2021 in the minors, dude pitched about like 78 innings. He had 113 strikeouts. He had a 2.06 ERA, and a .80 whip. Like stellar stats. And on top of that, it doesn't even describe the dude's, control, arsenal, and all that wonderful stuff. The dude just has great stuff. I'm really excited for Boston, what he possibly can do. And also, too, you'll probably notice I got a little fetish for, Tampa Bay pitchers and what they do with their pitching. So, Shane Baz just has all the upside in the world. He's pretty much going to be free 99 because everybody is forgetting about this dude. And you know what? He's going to be incredible overall. So he's a must draft for me for next year. For this year
right now, Shane Baz, pitcher 77, pick 190. a great value on him. I have Boz as my SP40 at the moment. I really love the upside. Matt was talking about that arsenal that he has, which I absolutely love. That big fastball, averages about 97 on it, can get up around 100. Good slider, has a curveball that he throws about 17% of the time, and I really love him. I love everything that he brings to the table. He's just a great pitcher there. And guys, sorry to cut things short here, but Matt had a little emergency, had to run, so I'm gonna head out as well. So, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you guys are back, with a new episode will probably be in there tomorrow. But guys, until then, see ya.